Thank you for downloading this podcast from the British Theatre Guide. For more information about British Theatre Guide, please visit britishtheatreguide.info.
As it prepares to leave its building in the hands of developers for refurbishment at the end of its 50th anniversary season, Bolton's Octagon Theatre takes its audiences on the road, literally, for its seasonal musical Summer Holiday, based on the Cliff Richard film. The performance begins at the new Bolton Interchange bus station, where the audience will meet before travelling by bus with the actors to the theatre, where the rest of the production takes place. A little over a week before opening, I spoke to two of the actor-musicians, Barbara Hockaday and Greg Last, and Ben Occhipinti, who is co-directing with Octagon artistic director Elizabeth Newman, to find out more.
Summer holiday, it's nice weather outside for it at the moment. I don't know if it will be when you open, but...
The weather's rehearsing.
The weather's rehearsing,
yes.
It's going to be just
Hope
like
it remembers its lines.
Summer holiday is something that everybody's heard of and everybody knows it's something to do with Cliff Richard and a bus. But beyond that, what's the story about?
Well, it is about a group of young, I say late teens, maybe early 20s, lads from 1963 going on a holiday. That's pretty much the basic premise.
Yeah.
It's the journey that they go on, who they meet on the way, that adds to the entertainment factor. Now, it is optimistic, it is... I think the word joyous was the one we heard on day one of rehearsal.
Joyous, that's the word we've been pushing, is joyous.
Constantly, and have been trying to put it into my daily usage vocabulary. But yes, it is. It's massively joyous. About four very young, optimistic lads planning to go on this holiday and make the most of it.
Well, they don't know quite how they're going to manage it, do they? Because they haven't got loads of money between them, and so they're bus mechanics, and one of them has this great idea. If they can sort of convert the bus into their travelling holiday home, that they can get to wherever they want to get to, which is the south of France, and they're dreaming of Saint-Tropez and beaches and glamour and meeting loads of gorgeous people. So yeah, their big plan is to, because they can't go, they're not going to go to travel agents and book a fancy package or anything like that. They're going to soup up the bus and travel across Europe, which I think sounds really fun. I'm actually really up for that. I wish I was a bus mechanic for a moment.
And to some extent, you're sending the audience on that journey. They're not going to get further than Bolton, but they're not going to get to Saint-Tropez. But
they'll get
you're actually on the bus.
yeah, actually on the bus.
Yeah, so Elizabeth Newman came up with the idea as part of the 50th anniversary season to kind of celebrate Bolton and celebrate joy and hopefulness and adventure, and she was thinking of shows that would maybe fit. Obviously, originally this was to take us out of the building on our new adventure, which has been delayed slightly, so joyously we get to be back in our own building. But we hope that this will start to introduce the audience to the idea of going on new adventures in new places. So we're starting at the bus interchange. First scene will play out there, and then we're all going to get on buses and drive through Bolton and have a good sing-along on the buses and arrive at the Town Hall Square, where the lads meet the first part of their adventure, which is the Do Re Mi pop group, and then we continue into the theatre. So we're hoping it's going to be just an extraordinary chance for people to kind of explore Bolton in a way maybe they never would have thought possible on a bus, having a sing.
It's everything that you want, though, isn't it? When you make a piece of theatre that you say, we want the audience to come along with us, they want us to come on the journey with us, and they literally are doing that. It's inescapable for them. So once we then move on into our the worlds that we're going to create in the theatre, that they've definitely got on board with us. So hopefully that'll continue through.
I've certainly never been on a bus in Bolton before, so that's an experience. But you're the actors, you meet us all there, and then you all separate. You're all on your own, aren't you? Just explain a bit about what happens there.
Well, there are 6 buses to transport the audience from the interchange to
France.
The Town Hall. To France, sorry.
Come on now, Greg.
France. And each bus has to be manned by those able to do so. So we are going to be meeting the pop group Do Re Mi at the Town Hall, and as a result they can't really be on the bus. So we are only 6 actors strong, which is perfect. One bus each. So you'll all be singing wonderful Cliff Richard classics with an actor, just the one. And it'll be great.
And you're entertaining us on that bus ride.
On that bus ride,
yeah.
So it is like every single family car journey I ever remember taking.
Yeah, me too.
You have 5 minutes worth of seriousness whilst you settle in with your pillows around you, and then you're singing campfire songs as loudly as possible, or whatever.
And we had a little practice on our press launch. We were slightly apprehensive as to what would happen, And the cast, it was the second day that we'd been rehearsing, so they didn't really know who each other were, never mind what we were doing. And it was extraordinary that the moment we started singing on the bus, everyone just joined in, didn't they? Whether they knew the song or not, there were just, this joy just suddenly erupted. And so I think it's going to be great when we're actually, people go from the story in the interchange onto the bus, and then we start this brilliant sing-along. I mean, it's everything I could hope for in a show.
I think they're going to absolutely outdo us.
Yes.
I think once we start
they'll be shouting
requests or
You
young
said the
ones,
wrong word.
I don't think I'm going to have the microphone for very long. I think it's just
It might
going to
depend
be...
on the weather, how enthusiastic they are as well, if they've been...
I think
Yes,
there's something feverish about these songs. They are relatively timeless. I mean, they're over 50 years old, and people remember them. They know them. They've been covered. They've been parodied. They are songs that people know and link to, especially of a certain generation. It's kind of their youth, and a younger generation, my generation and younger, hear these very catchy, familiar almost melodies that you can really get on board with. So whether you know the words or not, you definitely know we're all going on a summer holiday. Somehow, I think that's in your
No, I think you're right. The music, the music is incredibly catchy, isn't it? And it does. But I think because of the period it was created in, because of that 60s, that kind of the energy that was needed then, the music came out of that, and so I think that's why it holds a special place now. And when young people listen to it now, they still connect to it, and it's important that those songs are kind of coming back, and we're using them now, I think, to reinvigorate people. And it's great that it's based on four lads who are entrepreneurs who think, right, let's start up a business. You know, that's kind of what we need to be telling at the moment. It's like, come on, let's be joyful and think of ideas and come up with ways to reanimate and re-engage and re-energise everything that's going on.
Yes, very much so. It's an attitude heavily linked with our cousins across the pond, shall we say. The Americans tend to be the optimistic ones, but it's a movie, the stage show, the music in general, it's all completely and utterly positive, joyous, and forward-thinking. You're planning hopeful. Thank you, Ben. Hopeful.
But you can have an idea and you can make it happen. I think that's what they
together
really
with other
for.
people.
And then, and the sense of including people on the people that you meet along the way with them.
It's a big deal, that for me. The fact that you're meeting people, and every hurdle that is presented to these young people, they fly over with aplomb every single time, and it's that essence of feeling that together they can complete any task thrown. There must be a way around this. We can do it, guys. We can do it. It sounds hideously optimistic to those of a more calm disposition, but I think it's magical at this current time. That message to get across, I think, is imperative.
From a director's point of view, logistically, this is a bit more complicated than just putting something on stage. The last time I saw Summer Holiday, probably the only time before, was it was Darren Day on the Palace, I think, in the 90s. And it was amazing that there was a bus on stage, but, it's a bit different to shipping the audience from one place and another around the town. So how did that go?
Well, they're just... Bolton is one of the most brilliant places. The council were totally up for it when it was suggested as an idea. We met the people at the interchange. That was before the interchange was even built at this point. It was just an idea. And they just said yes. And then we had amazing meetings with Michael from Vision Buses, who said, yes, you can have 6 buses and 6 drivers. So that's always the first thing with site-specific work, is getting people on side and realising that it's an exciting idea that they want to be a part of. And everybody understood why we were doing it and wanted to be a part of that. The technical challenges we will discover as we start to put the show. We've been out nearly every day to the town square and to the bus station, and people already are loving it, stopping, listening to what's going on. So there'll undoubtedly be technical challenges, but as long as the reason for doing the work is there and is important, then I think everybody rallies around and makes it work. Obviously, for actors being outside, a bit like the play, well, it is. That's why we chose it in a way, is to celebrate Bolton. What story could we use? And the story of Summer Holiday is the right one. It's about working together to achieve something and to celebrate something. So that's why we wanted to do it.
The council can show off its new bus station as well.
We can celebrate the new... But, the interchange is such an important thing for Bolton, for people to be able to get around, to explore new places. And we really wanted to be a part of launching that interchange and making sure that it's seen as an incredibly positive place and somewhere that we all should be going to get a bus somewhere new or a train. And the town square is amazing here. When the sun's out, those town hall steps are full of people sitting, chatting, talking, and so for us to be able to celebrate that as well felt a great thing for us to be doing in our 50th anniversary season. So I've slightly ignored the technical problems there. I just talked about hope and joy.
Yeah, but it's so powerful for us making our show, knowing that Don, who's the Cliff Richard character, asks the company that he works for, can I take a bus and soup it up? And then ultimately, can I make a big venture business venture out of this? Yeah. And in the same way, we've gone, hello, Michael, with your Vision buses, can we do the play in the interchange and then get on the bus? And they've said yes. So in an age where loads of red tape and bureaucracy stands in the way of getting there's always loads of barriers to getting lots of things done for good reasons, but it's just really amazing to be. I mean, obviously we haven't put in the legwork that you and Elizabeth have, and the Octagon, we just turned up to have a nice time. But
that's the most important part of it, isn't it?
Can we do it? And they've said yes. Even the bits in the play that you might think, God, would that really happen? Would they just let these lads nip off in this bus? People said yes, and that's Bolton that said yes, isn't it?
And we have to be rehearsing front of house as well, because their job's going to be a bit more complicated.
Yes. So tomorrow we have our first technical rehearsal for all the outside work, and we've got the full front of house team are coming, volunteers. We've got the buses arriving. We're going to just explore how it's going to work. But the front of house team will be as integrated into the action as the actors, I think, which they're really excited about doing. But there'll be people on the buses, there'll be people in amongst the audience guiding everybody around and making sure that it's as familiar to being in the Octagon as it possibly can be. Because obviously for lots of audience members, they're taking a big leap of faith, like the bus company are with Don. They're going, all right, we're going to come on this adventure. We don't know what it's going to be like. So everything that we can do to make them feel as at home as possible, we're going to do. But we will find out tomorrow in our technical rehearsal.
And lots of the rehearsal thus far for the outside, from my perspective, from the actor's perspective, has been very much about finding the comfort level. It is that unfamiliarity in a place that isn't common for a performance to be held, and to have found some comfort in the experience of being in the building, even just by being there and watching where people might be and that sort of stuff. I kind of feel a very big sense of anticipation about what it could be, and that's hugely exciting and rare. I think it's going to be a unique, bespoke experience for the theatre goer as well as for the people involved in doing the performance, and that's a wonderful thing to be able to do in a comfortable environment, in a safe and comfortable environment. It's quite exciting.
I mean, your front of house staff here, they're used to not knowing from one show to the next the configuration of the theatre itself, because one might be in the round, it could be an end stage, it could be a thrust, so they're used to different stage. I suppose it's just an extension of that.
Let's hope so. No, but I joke, but that's absolutely why we know that our staff will be totally up for it, is because they are used to the audience each time coming in going, why is there no row A today? Why is the stage in a different place? And actually they embrace that and love that, and our staff really enjoy the challenge of telling people the new information that they need to know. So I'm hoping that they'll just embrace that on a bus and in an interchange as well.
An extra level of this is the actor-musician thing. I know, Barbara, I've seen you in loads of actor-musician shows, particularly here, but other places as well. So talk about what you have to do. Are you carrying instruments about on a bus?
Well, no. So, I mean, maybe you've seen me with a double bass strapped to my body before, singing it around, which is loads of fun, and I can really recommend it. But for this one, no bass required. So it's a bit radical for me because... the company are absolutely incredible. There's some really mind-blowing musicians. One of them is right next to me here, in the form of Greg Last. Really mind-blowing. So there's lots of times where I'm just not required, which is really like a revelation to me. But when I am playing, I'm playing a little bit of keyboard for a couple of the songs, and I'm on the drum kit as well, which I used to play a long time ago, and I'm kind of getting my drumming, getting the old dog with the old tricks out at the back. So Alexander Bean, who plays Cyril in it, he's a brilliant drummer and plays lots of the fantastic flashy shadow stuff. But when he's busy being Cyril elsewhere, then I'm covering at the back and really, really enjoying myself because I haven't played in such a long time. So it's great, and everyone's it's been very encouraging, and we're rocking out, aren't we?
We are massively rocking out, but rocking out for over 50-year-old music as if it's our own, and it's great. I really enjoy it. I kind of feel like I'm taking ownership of it. The way we tend to handle the outside places, we've learned all the music, recorded all the music, and will be a little instrumentless, I suppose, with the exception of, I think there's a guitar hanging around, isn't there? There's which David Hayward, who plays Steve, will be holding around the interchange, which is going to be really fun. Him getting that guitar, strumming away with something that we don't know how it's going to sound tomorrow. But then when we're into the theatre, we're all the standard acts musician fare. Everyone plays everything, and Rejay's arrangements have allowed us to be able to move around instruments quite smoothly and swiftly, I think.
Yeah. So what's it been like playing the 60s Cliff Richard stuff? Because it's basically fairly simple skiffle-based rock and roll, isn't it? Is it simple to play?
No, some
it
is.
Sounds simple. I mean,
some is, but it's a good old early 1960s musical. So it's got some songs in there that aren't Cliff Richard hits. They are summer holiday musical hits.
Yeah.
So they are big huge orchestrated pieces that have been reduced to being played by 10 actors, which has been, I suppose, a challenge to get the sound right, and it's great. On the flip side, style is essential, really, when it comes to music. And if you're, as you say, quite straightforward 4-chord stuff, but it's still got a groove, a feeling, and a story, a kind of soul to it that you've got to link in, and that does require not just hamming through the chords. That's the easy part. That's kind of part of the learning stage. But then it's inputting the differences between the styles into it.
But I think it's like incredibly groovy. I hold my hand up to being somebody that just knew that Summer Holiday was a film with Cliff Richard in from another day. And and if you said, "What's the music like?" I would have gone, "Oh, we're all going." Probably quite tame. Pop. Honestly, I did. I think that thought the music was going to be pretty tame. And then we started listening to the music before we came into rehearsals, and I didn't know about the Shadows. And then I'm hearing what they're playing in the Paris nightclub, and I'm thinking ahead to getting on the drum kit, and it's all everywhere. There's just loads going on. I mean, there's tons of music in the world that you might only have 3 or 4 chords in it. There's loads of like gags about that, aren't there? Loads of jokes about it. But that doesn't mean that it isn't without its own complexity in the way that the musicians have to lock in with each other, and also don't forget that we dance while we play and we sing. Do with the everything while we play. But even the music itself, I was really thrilled and blown away and excited by the levels that it goes to. So there are some more maybe straightforward sounding ballad things, but there's some real rock out stuff. And the top of Act 2, Move It, is my absolute favourite. Like, there's nothing tame about
some real driving things.
That was his first hit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Huge late 50s classic, and it drives it where the rhythm gets too hard. So
it's one of the
really
great
does
things.
What it says it should do.
It's one of the great things, though, isn't it, about Cliff Richard, and that he wanted to explore as many different styles of music as he could.
Yeah.
So you get these real kind of rock moments, and then you get the lighter things, and then you get the ballads and the more classical stuff all mixed into it. And listening to him sing some of those songs is just amazing that he could go across so many different musical styles and influence so many different groups by doing that.
I suppose the thing about knowing Cliff Richard 60 years on, knowing of Cliff Richard 60 what? I'm sure he's a lovely man. I've not met him, but knowing of Cliff Richard 60 years on is we've got the built-up brand of Cliff Richard, and that is very specific now, when actually what we're dealing with, his music isn't specific. His music is varied, massively so. And if you consider all his back catalogue over the 60 years, that's proven. But even in this period of time, as Ben is saying, there's style upon style and different essences.
And he was a young man trying to find his musical voice, which is just brilliant.
They were trying to push him as the British Elvis in the 50s.
Exactly,
but also,
and deservedly so for my money.
But you can think of Cliff Richard, and it can make it sound like it's going to sound like music from another time. I mean, and like rock and roll is so influential and is so today anyway. And I mean, wait till you see Luke Thornton rocking out with his electric guitar behind his head and doing his knee slides and being all over the place. doing Move It, because that is my current favourite. As you can tell, it's really fresh, and it's, you know, brilliant arrangements that have come through the heritage of this piece of show being made, but what Richard Reed has done with them, but then the creativity that the players that are here put on top of that. I think it's really fresh. I think it sounds... it's on my iPod.
It has to be fresh. It kind of has to be fresh. It's a youthful exuberance that you found in early rock and roll in the 50s and 60s. It was a language of the teen, and it was spoken fluently, and we mispronounce it at our peril, I suppose. You need to connect to that raw quality of connection of music. Yeah. And that was really what changed in the 50s for me. I know that lots of music scholars would almost certainly tell you, well, actually. But for me, the 50s incorporated the essence of a person as well as the accuracy of a musician. Yeah. And it was the two together. So we obviously adhere to playing that music, those 4 chords, absolutely spot on and tight as anything, but we also pour a character into it, as Luke is noticeably doing so by letting himself go and getting a guitar behind his head and throwing himself onto the floor a lot.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Yeah, the Martin McFly.
But it's often said that the 1950s was when the teenage as we know it now was invented, and music was a part of that, wasn't it? And Cliff was right there at the start of it, wasn't it?
He really, really was, and I think people forget that because they remember Cliff Richard now, and 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties Cliff Richard, and 50s, 60s Cliff Richard was a trailblazer.
Yeah.
I think it's a real celebration of like music and popular music and why we love it, because there's this sort of releasing yourself into dance, rocking out stuff like, do you want to dance, and put on your dancing shoes. But then there's the brilliant Do Re Mi, this brilliant group representing that, you know, trio harmony, like highly styled, sounding really cool and really getting you with their personality and the engaging you, less about the sort of instrumental guitars and drums sort of thing, but you know, bringing
the harmonies and the moves,
the sophistication and the group and the dance routines into that, and that sort of aesthetic as well. You've got that going on as well, because we all have different tastes and we like different things. I think this show really contains...
We haven't talked about our song, Babs. We haven't talked about our song.
Our song, no.
Our fantastic non-Cliff Richard classic.
That's like the bonus track. That's the surprise that people get at the... No, not at the end, but we've got a little bit of Jerry and Stella, who are in the entertainment business as, you know, mother of Star, Barbara, played by Linda Brown, and agent of Barbara, who is the star, but they get their opportunity to perform as well, you know, because they've been in the business for years.
Yes, with the
so they add in their
we add in our little perception of what the kids want. We do give it a go, don't we, Babs?
So, Ben, how do you keep all of this under control in a rehearsal period that's probably, I'm guessing you're not going to get much, if any, longer than you get for a play?
No, the same amount of time.
You've got music, you've got buses, you've got choreography, you've got all of this going in. How do you get all that in without losing some of the quality?
I think the key thing is to get the most amazing people in the room that you can, and then actually to try not to control it, to try and liberate it. And I'm co-directing this with Elizabeth, and we work in a very similar way, but it's about, the music does it for us on this show. It's about liberating the energy and then actually letting the show form from that, versus trying to control it in a way, and it's one of the most joyous rooms I've ever walked into, where even when we're not rehearsing, people are rocking out and playing and sharing music, and that's really all we have to do, is just let people feel as free as they can be to play and share with each other and sing and express the hope and joy of the piece. And obviously we have to be on top of the technical things that need to happen, but as with any play, you have to trust the story that you're telling and the people that you've got in the room to tell the story, and we've got an amazing bunch of people who are just having a really great time. And it's just on a Monday morning driving into work excited about what song we're going to work on, and being in that room makes it a real treat as a director, just to go in and say, right, let's have fun and play and see what happens.
Summer Holiday will be performed at Bolton Travel Interchange and Octagon Theatre Bolton from Thursday the 31st of May to Saturday the 23rd of June 2018. For more information, see octagonbolton.co.uk.
You've been listening to a podcast from British Theatre Guide. For more information, please visit britishtheatreguide.info.